Hey guys, so I did a video, an earlier video about Monster Hunter and its veterans mode, and I wanted to kind of expand on that idea and kind of like where I came from with Monster Hunter and what it means to me. Because I would say this is probably my favorite game series. Like I think this series of games is probably my at least in my top three because you got Zelda and you got Metroid. You know what I mean? So at least in my top three, if not one itself. So I want to just go a little history of it, like how I started, right, and what I think could help for maybe people like us who've been playing since the olden days to best like get the best out of this. So my first experience with Monster Hunter actually came from Monster Hunter. It came out in PlayStation 2 in 2004. Uh, it is where my whole journey started. It was a whole different game back then. It was very different. Like the barrier of entry for that game was very high. There was no hand holding. No one took you anywhere. You know, like I remember I played that game for a good time using the that was it the giant the great sword, right? And bro, I didn't know to go. I started talking to people. That's where I found it with different weapons and start really exploring the game. And I think because because it didn't really tell you anything, it just tossed you out there. It just made you move forward. It it added a different challenge to the game. It made it seem things like it made little things, little systems seem like they were new discoveries. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And I have fun doing it. But now we get to basically what I would think is the magnum opus of this entire series, and that's Monster Hunter Freedom 2 or Freedom Unite. I didn't play Monster Hunter 2, but I played Freedom and Freedom Unite. This was, bro, on PSP ad hoc. We was doing our thing, bro. We was doing our thing. You couldn't tell us we wasn't an elite unit, sent by the gods to erect this world of all monsters in all monster kind. God, that was a good time. I had no life. I was really getting into it. A lot of restrictions in this game. There are so many restrictions that it forces you to make a choice. Inventory restrictions. These dudes, we only had like what 24 slots, and that was 24 slots for your tools. So you had pickaxes and bug nets, combo books, because if you wanted to make combos, you needed a combo book to increase its success. And you're gonna have the combos because you're gonna be making flash bombs and trap tools and stuff while you out on the field. You know what I mean? So it's going to be extremely important that they don't fail and turn to junk while you're out there. And that is, again, a high possibility. Very high possibility. So, so you had to choose what you were bringing. And sometimes if you brought too much, you would have to get rid of a shock trap or something, right? In order to get one more carve off the monster. You dig me? Because even the monster parts went in there. You're gathering, there was no different spaces. And at that time, I used to run the gunner, so it was horrible. But at the same time, it was cool, right? Because my friends, they will hold certain things, some wyvern claws over here, something like that. You know what I mean? Like, all right, pass me some of these. But that's just how you had to manage it. It wasn't like you can go back. You can't go back. Once you out there, bro. And what you got is what you got. You know what I mean? What you got is what you got. Did you do everything you needed to do? Did you paintball? Did you see your farm? Did you pet the pig? There's so much that was going on in this game that those complexities, like all the fact that, the fact that I said all of this, right? And I never mentioned even fighting a monster. You dig me? It was so much work to get started before I could even. And this era right here is where they brought in the bow. You know what I mean? The bow and the long sword and dual blades. Because they were in the original Monster Hunter, but they were through like these little like secret weapon paths. You know, they were like, you had to do some extra stuff to get them. You know what I mean? Like the dual blades, you had to use sword and shield and go down that weapon path, you know, to get dual blades. You know, the same thing with the long sword. So this was the one that really brought all that stuff in there. I really could talk about this game forever. I actually was just playing it on my phone, which is crazy. But yeah, I was actually just playing it on my phone. I love this game. It really forces a lot out of you. It really forces you to know what you're doing and know that if you don't do it right, it's going to come with some serious consequences, baby. Okay? So, and I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, and before I just like leave off with this, Monster Hunter Freedom, this is the thing, this is the flagship for a lot of different monsters that were terrifying at that time, okay? I just wanted to mention a few of them just really quickly because this is the insanity that you had to deal with at this time. A Rajong, the Blagongo, and the Tigrex. These were all introduced. And when I tell you, brother, it was not a fun time. I mean, it was a fun time, but it wasn't a fun time. This dude going Super Saiyan on him. He's fighting Karens and stuff. Like, what is happening? No one, like, at that time, like, no one was like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? What are we doing here? Oh, man. And then we got what Monster Hunter Tri. When it comes to Monster Hunter Tri, this is the one that I probably dislike the most. I really am not a fan of this game. I am loyal to the series, so I bought a Wii. I didn't even have a Wii for this, so I bought a Wii so that I could play this game, and it wasn't worth either of the purchases. All right, so I literally have a Wii over here that collects dust because of this trash game. And that's just my own personal opinion. Some people like it, but I felt that there wasn't a lot of monsters in it. And they were extremely easy to beat. I mean, we were spanking them, man. We were spanking them. We were really spanking them. It wasn't good. It wasn't pleasant. And then it was the underwater fights. Blah. No. No, I say thee nay. I say thee nay. And then I played that Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. And that was fun. I bought a 3DS to play that game. You know, I didn't care about having another Nintendo device. But here we are. You know, and the big thing for me was that it was online handheld play. Again, the milestone, right? Where that wasn't something that really existed. So, and I was living in a whole different part of the country at the time. So me and my friends, we couldn't play. Well, I mean, we could play now, and that was a big deal. I think that's why I had it. That's why I didn't play Monster Hunter Ultimate 3. It's because I wanted to play with my friends. You know what I mean? All right, and then that was that Goro Magala, and I like that. That Goro Magala was that was a different monster as well. I love him. And then we kind of get to, again, this next one, this Monster Hunter World, right? Iceborne and all that, right? Now, we were super excited for this game, okay? Like, if you were a Monster Hunter fan, I imagine this was the step into the mainstream. You know what I mean? I was seeing American commercials, and I'm like, all right, baby, here we go. Let's do it. Let's go. You know what I mean? So it was good. I liked that. There was a lot of improvements to controls. a lot of movement and combat feel. Like the visuals was looking good. The monsters and their ecology was looking like, wow. Like, wow, you know, and it was nice. That was, I really enjoyed that part. I don't like the story though. I did not care for the story. I felt like, what are we doing here? Why am I like in this story? And I don't want it. I don't want it. And it was so long and so much. And I'm not sure if you could skip it or not, but yeah, because every now and then I'd be like making a new character just, you know, for ips and giggles. But not if I am forced to go through this story again. I refuse it. I rebuke you. You know, I won't do it. There's some other things too. This is where I think is where Monster Hunter got into, like, because Monster Hunter Trial was easy, and this one also was easy, but it was easier for different reasons. You know, this is, I think, the beginning of when we really stopped having to prepare for a hunt. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is where it all ended. You know, we're preparing for a hunt and having everything together, and it could cost you a lot, you know, and forcing you to do gathering quests and stuff. This is where it ended here. You know, there was a little bit of that in here, just a little teeny tiny bit of that in here, but for the most part, it was over after this. You know, there was some nice elements though, because it's kind of the future of the series. Like, you remember the Guiding Lands? The Guiding Lands was my favorite part of this game. I would go in there and just murk monsters for like 4 hours with an SOS flare. Like, let's go. You know, knocking gold and silver wraths out the air. Let's get it. So that was fun. I really, like, I will say, I really enjoyed the game. It's just, that was the end of all that. Even my friends who we grew up playing these games, right? Getting the heck PSP Japanese versions, you know, can't understand none of the words, but we was making it happen, you know. We was making it happen. So it was like all that, and these guys were like, what did my friend used to say? He said, they're dropping honey on your head. Look at them, they're dropping honey on your head. And he's like, yeah, it was easy. It was. Iceborne raised up the difficulty, but for a lot of, like, I think a lot of veteran players, it was over, you know? And I think that's the last of, like we used to call ourselves the Chosen. That's the last of them that these guys played. You know, that was the last Monster Hunter for them. You know, and then we're going to be moving on to Monster Hunter Rise, and it is just me now, just one lone wolf. And I'm gonna tell you this, I like Rise. A lot of people I know personally didn't like Rise, you know what I mean? But I enjoyed Rise a great deal. It gave me that feeling of that blend between that old school Monster Hunter and that Monster Hunter World experience a little bit. You know, graphics weren't as tight, no, but it was nice. It was a nice blend of that. And then they added all those customizations to the weapons. I really feel like being able to make different customizations to the weapons is important. You know, that mine's is not the same as yours, and we're playing with the same weapon is a feature that I will always encourage in any RPG setting. You know what I'm saying? In any RPG setting, because, of course, that wire bug jumping, that was like the first time we took vertical, you know, we could ascend ourselves into the air. You know, that was the first time we're running on rooftops, and that changed a lot of that traversing mechanic that I really enjoyed. Now, one thing I think is what really bothered me is those palamutes, right? I feel like the introduction of those dogs is the death of old Monster Hunter. We're never going to see it again. The introduction of those, it says everything we need to see about this series and what's going to be happening for it. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to speak too much on the dogs here because they were okay in this. You know what I mean? So, all right, let's move on to Monster Hunter Wilds. Yeah, I do it with a sigh, but not in a negative way, because I like Monster Hunter Wilds, but it is fundamentally, in this series, a very different game. Of course, they're all different games, but this is different. The ease of access is insane. You know what I mean? Like, the ease of access, the lack of any knowledge on the ecology or the plants or how this or that works and why you do this has no bearing and it just does not matter at all. As long as you make small collections, which you could just do off the back off of your horsey, boom, or the chocobo. But just as long as you're doing that, you'll be fine throughout this game. You're not going to run into any crisis. You're not going to run into any inventory crisis. You're not going to run into any crisis like, oh, I need a special stone. You're not going to run into it. You're not going to, oh, I need a fire cell. You're not going to run into that where you have to go out there and specifically just do this for a few hours and hopefully get that thing that you're trying to get. You're not going to have to do that. You want to rest those ruby bitches right here? It's yours. Hell, all you have to do is come in and it's ended. And it's part of the request rewards. We told you that before you started. So it's like any aspect of the game that is not actually fighting the monster, in my opinion, in that game is beneath itself. It's beneath itself because, again, the combat, the play-in is wonderful. Oh, smooth as it's ever been. Best looking I've ever seen it. It seems like that's all that this game is this big monster beat 'em up now. You know what I mean? Like, there's no preparation needed. I go out there sometimes and forget to even manage my inventory. I just keep going, back out. Like, the mistakes that I make in the hunt, like, especially when Wilds first came out, I used to just stand there. I was so upset with it, right? Because I would just stand there and my cats wouldn't let me die. Those little those guest hunters that you get, they wouldn't let me die. And I wasn't doing nothing. I put the controller down. That's ridiculous, man. I put the controller down. Woo. Okay. So that's all I'm saying. It's just find a monster faster, beat them, carve them, repeat. And I feel like Monster Hunter is more than that. I do. I feel like the actual game is more than that. It's deeper than just fight, armor, fight. You know what I mean? I don't know what is actually missing in everything. Like, I'm not the guy. I'm just a guy who can see that is something wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it really takes to fix it. I say a veterans mode, that way because it doesn't change it for new players. Some players started in Monster Hunter World. So I feel like, yeah, that's a little bit different for them. Like, I think they're even playing the game for different reasons than I'm playing it. So I don't want to, like, even take that away from them, right? But put a veterans mode. In a veterans mode, all you're doing is just restricting stuff. All you're doing is just restricting stuff. You're restricting how much inventory space I have, You're restricted in the fact that I can't go back to my home base at any time to get, like, items from my home, which is crazy. You go out with the items that you have, and you could get a supply box and get another bonus supply box later on in a fight, but or you can go out there and grab items, combine them, you know. If you losing health, oh, I know it's honey and 8. Let me go run over there, get that. I got mega potions. Let's keep it pushing, baby. Or the fact that me having to manage my items alone is a different task. You know, it's not just beating a monster. It's like, oh, we got to do this twice? It's 2 of you? And I ran through half of my items? Well, we might have to abandon the quest now. That's a half hour of work. So you get what I'm saying? So put stuff in there, like just take stuff away from us again. Right? Just enough that you know, it adds the challenge to the game would not just be the monster itself. You know, it's Monster Hunter, of course, but it's a whole world, brother. And you know, let's experience that, you know. So, all right. I cannot just make this video and just walk away. Right? I wanted to talk about my favorite monsters, and these are my favorite monsters over the years. You know, this Monster Hunter. You know, this is the opposite of Pokemon. We don't love them, we beat them. Okay? Like, so if you love Monster Hunter and you love monsters, you know we beat them. We beat right up on them, okay? And these are my favorite monsters. Like, these are my favorite monsters. Like, I've been playing Monster Hunter Stories too, and if I can find them, I'm using them. They're mine. You feel me? You gotta catch them all. All right, so let's just start off with the big 2. There's Silver Rathalos and go with you.
A sluggish brute, fierce but foolish, challenging the king. Its graceful wings drawing a silver arch in the sky. In a flash, the tables turn. Stay aground and curse your fate, whilst your body is consumed by flame. With feet firmly on the ground, nothing can stop my advance. Go ahead, form your plans. Attack if you so dare. I am the queen, and thou shalt bow before me.
Or Rathian, right? I am in love with this combo. All right, I love the combo. I love that fight you have in Worlds with them. Ooh, where's both of them? What? I love that. I love how they move. I love regular Rathalos and Rathian, you know what I mean? But Silver and Gold to me are like, ooh, I love them. They're like, to me, I feel like they should be considered elder dragons. I do feel that way. Like, they're strong enough and they're older if you just can't be a Gold Rathian or a Silver Rathalos, you feel me? And then we got the Yayan Garuga. It's specifically, I think what made me like him is because, you see, you kill Kutkus. Or is that what it's called? Kutkus? In Monster Hunter, the very first game. And so when it was like the Scar Garuga or something like that, and you seen him and he just came out straight up badass. And I don't know, I love it. I do. That's my guy. And then it's the Tigrex. The Tigrex is always been like my guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's always been like if this was like Yu-Gi-Oh or something, right? He'd be the heart of the cards for me.
Roar, rolling over hill and dale. The weak flee in fear, but the strong prevail. On the snowy mountainside, white is drenched with red. When the ancient tyrant hunts, all are filled with dread.
That'd be my boy. Then Nargacuga. Nargacuga, genuinely, when he came out.
Beneath a brightly shining moon, it does not merely bask in the light, but absorbs the moon's brilliance and uses it as a veil. And with unmatched speed, death comes swiftly, in elegant and gracious form, never witnessed by its prey.
Genuinely scared me. I was not a fan of fighting him. You know what I mean? And I had a lot of respect on my guy's name. Him and Rajong. I had a lot of respect on them when they first came out. I did not want to fight them. I was not a fan. I was not a fan at all. But I respect it and I love them for it. He's much weaker now in the chain of food, which is the chain command now, which is crazy. Then we got the Encantor and then the Encanlos. Now, I'm going to mess this up. I'm going to just say it how we used to say it when we used to do this. It was the Encantor and the Unculos. Whatever, dog. I know that don't make sense, but that's what we used to call them. And them were my guys. I like them and I love their armor, especially that crit boost they give you. And then we have the bigger monsters like that Shingo-Rin and Alao. The Lao Shenlong. These are big monsters, right? Where it was like basically raid types. They were so big that they didn't even notice that you were hitting them. And you just kept walking. You're just cutting at their toes. You know, you just try to stop them from walking through a city. They weren't even violent, really. They just would walk through a city and destroy a whole town because that's just what they are. They called them walking calamities. And then last and by far and by no metric on earth could ever be the least is Big Daddy himself, Fatalis. I know they call the Rathalos the flagship, like that's the flagship monster when people think of, you know, when you think of Nintendo, you think of Mario, you think of Monster Hunter, you think of a Rathalos. But Fatalis is the real daddy in this whole thing here. So yeah, that's just pretty much everything I have there. I just wanted to expand on some of the things I was talking about in the earlier videos. All right, thanks.